All right, there you go. Can you watch my stream on Discord real quick?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm watching.
All right. Well, first of all, the kind of thing I'm doing, what I'm basically just forcing like one circle, staying inside your radius. I published a video yesterday here that I go over it pretty well. I would say I really do recommend you give it a watch, at least like the very first like 5 minutes where I give this explanation on Paint. It's on this channel that called Basics for Dueling. Now here's the thing. What's happening? Here's what I'm basically doing. Right. I'll make a drawing. Bring the good old Paint. All right. So you're flying the F-16A. Any of them, whatever. Every single plane in the game has a minimum radius that is going to look like this, right? So this applies to every single plane in the game. Therefore, for different planes, of course, it's going to be different. Let's imagine, for example, that for the F-16A, it's just going to look like this. Maybe for the Mirage 2000, it's going to be a little bit tighter because I just have so much more lift and I can pull harder even at lower speeds. I can have a tighter circle. However, this circle is probably not like super long because I just bleed way too much speed. So it's only gonna be like super tight for the most part. But once I get like super slow, I kind of get like dead in the water. So I have to be like, really careful. But the biggest concept you need to keep in mind is that every single plane in the game has a minimum radius. Now, if this is you and you're flying the F-16 and you have somebody here just outside your main radius, this dude is in danger. Because if this guy is outside your main radius, this means that your plane will be able to just pull into them and you will be able to get nose on and kill them. So any kind of plane that is outside your main radius, of course, is going to be in danger. They're going to be in danger. Maybe outside here, danger. I don't know. Maybe this is like a case where they separated way too much and you have enough speed to just pull into them and comfortably kill them. So kind of almost anything that is outside your main radius is in danger. However, if somebody is inside your main radius, they are safe. And this is kind of like the area where I'm trying to play with the Mirage 2000 or even planes like the Hornet. I think I ended up dueling against you a few weeks back where I played Hornet against 15A, and I was basically following the exact same principle. I was trying to stay inside your radius because if I stay here, then I'm basically safe. Like, it doesn't matter how hard you pull. It doesn't matter if you pull the stick all the way back and just pull 1,000 Gs. As long as I'm inside your radius, then you will not be able to get nose on me. So this is kind of like the area where I try to be when the Mirage 2000 or any kind of planes like that cannot really rate fight. However, there is a third area, and that's kind of like the very edge here. And you will see on the other video that I posted on that channel, I call this the maybe zone. Kind of like outside at the very rear. And the reason for this is because technically I am outside your main radius, so you will eventually be able to get nose on if you decide to pull back on the stick, right? But the main thing is, if I am in the maybe zone and I have enough speed, then if I see you get nose on me, I can very quickly just pull out of the way and get inside the safe zone and avoid your nose. And this is kind of how you force reversals for the most part. So let's say, for example, if I'm in the Mirage 2000 and I'm trying to play in the maybe zone from you, if I see an opportunity where you might be able to get nose on me if you decide to pull on the stick very hard, I will very quickly just try to cash in my speed and just pull out of the way and get inside your turn in the safe zone. And once I'm here, I can just basically just like force and counter attack or whatever. Now, for me to stay in the safe zone and get very close to you, this is probably going to be very expensive energy-wise because I just have to keep pulling a little bit harder in order to like stay very close and tight to you. The maybe zone, however, it allows me to do two things. So on one hand, staying or getting, actually playing on the maybe zone is cheaper energy-wise. Because I'm not as tight to you, I don't really need to pull that hard. So usually I would try to kind of play at the very edge here in the maybe zone because I can retain a little bit more speed, but also, like if I have enough speed, I can just transition into a counterattack, for example. I can actually bait you. So on one hand, playing on the maybe zone is a little bit cheaper. I can retain my speed easier here because I don't have to pull as much. At the same time, maybe zone allows me to bait the enemy. So you will see multiple times if you have flown the F-16A for a while, you're already kind of familiar with how hard you can pull. You can kind of get a feeling if the guy is like far enough away from you to get a nose on. I think during many fights, and especially this fights, maybe you noticed that sometimes I was like far enough away from you to where you felt confident going for a shot. It's because I was in this area and I was kind of trying to bait you. So I would try to play on the maybe zone like on purpose to kind of like bait the other guy to pulling into me. And if they do, I can very quickly transition into the safe zone and pull out of the way and force a reversal. So playing inside the other guy's radius or the other guy's circle is something that every single plane can do, pretty much. Of course, some planes do it better than others. For example, the Mirage 2000. At the same time, there are some planes that this is literally the only choice they have. Of course, like the Mirage 2000, because if we decide to raid fight, I'm never going to win. So my only choice is to kind of play around this whole area, kind of, to basically just survive the raid fight indefinitely. Like you can be raid fighting, you can be like having a better plane in sustained turn rate, and you can, in theory, outrate the Mirage 2000. However, if the dude kind of plays inside this area and just stays inside your turn forever, then you will never be able to get nose on, right? It doesn't matter how good your sustained turn rate is. Let's imagine the radius of your sustained turn rate looks a little bit bigger, like this. Then it's going to be a lot easier for the guy to kind of just stay inside this area indefinitely. So this is literally what I've been doing on these duels, and on the recording that I made yesterday, so you can actually see my perspective of what I'm doing.
Like hard as hell.
Yeah. So let me get this out of the way. So I'm gonna use purple. So I'm gonna use purple to depict me. This is going to be me, and red is gonna be you. So a lot of times what you will see is when I get inside your turn, from your perspective, it's gonna look like we're flying information, kind of. Like I'm basically almost like flying information with you. Sometimes I might be like probably a little bit behind, maybe a little bit far away, but it's gonna look something like this. We're kind of like flying information. I'm flying next to your wing here. And this is probably what it looks like from your perspective. So let's say, for example, if I'm flying in the maybe zone, I might be going a little bit slower than you, like this. So let's say, for example, you're in the F-16, you are doing, I don't know, 800, and I'm only doing, say, 500, which is not much. This amount of speed, even though it's like very low, allows me to comfortably stay here like kind of forever, because if you start pulling into me, you have to basically pull all over the circle here, and this is going to be very expensive, and it's also going to take you like a few seconds. Like the reason why this is called the maybe zone is because in theory I am outside your radius, but by the time you get nose on, it's going to take like 3 or 4 seconds, for example, and that is going to allow me to just transition here. Oops. How do I...
Not sure.
There you go.
So how do I counter someone that's playing that zone?
Okay, here's the thing. So for the most part, if I get inside your turn, it's going to look like I'm flying information with you. It's going to look like this. And over time, my goal is to get so close to you that I eventually kind of drift into your 6 and I can just take a shot. Or say, for example, if I have enough speed and I'm kind of get like maybe here, just so close, I can just pull into you because my radius is also very tight. I can pull into you and just intercept you. Now, what's been happening on these duels for the most part is your trajectory during raid fights. You are constantly allowing me to take shortcuts on you. And let me see if I can make another drawing to kind of show you what I mean by this. So you know how a raid fight is basically just a tail chase. So this is one dude. This dude is chasing the other dude's tail. It's gonna look like this. So this is a perfect raid fight. Now, to make it a little bit more obvious, I'm gonna draw a circle. And imagine instead of a circle, this is actually a sphere. So in a raid fight, it's gonna look like this. So the red guy is chasing the blue's tail, but because we're just going in circles around each other, it's gonna be like the blue guy is going around the sphere into the other side, chasing red, right? So it's gonna look like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make another example with like a side view. So again, this is a sphere. It's an imaginary sphere when we are raid fighting. And it's basically gonna look like this. So one dude is going all around the circle, and the other dude, who is on the opposite side of the sphere, is also chasing the other dude's tail. So this thing you're seeing here is basically the exact same thing as here, right? All good there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what's happening for the most part on these raid fights we've been having is I'm gonna be the red guy, so I'm gonna be the Mirage 2000 here on red. And of course, I cannot fight on these terms. Like if we maintain a perfect raid fight like these, where I just chased your tail perfectly, I'm going to lose because my sustain rate is garbage. However, what's happening is a lot of times during this raid fight, you're doing some turns like this. Or sometimes maybe, let's say something a little bit more abrupt like this. I think you have tried to do some like reversals way too early. So
yeah,
during a raid fight, when you do these kind of turns that are like a little bit too abrupt, you allow me to take a shortcut on you. So I basically just take a shortcut, I intercept you, and this is basically what it means to pull lead. So when I see you turning like this, I would immediately pull lead. So I'm basically aiming my trajectory in front of yours, and this allows me to take a shortcut on you, right? So even if you make this turn, for example, and you keep flying in a straight line, then I'm now gonna be a lot closer to you, something like this, because you allow me to take a shortcut. And even if I'm slower than you, and even if I cannot raid fight as much, if you keep giving me these little like shortcuts, I will eventually be able to get inside your turn. I'm gonna make the drawing here again.
So I basically just need to chase your tail better.
You need to chase my tail better. That is correct. So this is your radius. Now, in a perfect raid fight, when I'm still like really far away from you, I'm gonna be like way behind, like I don't know, somewhere back there. So your goal is to try to not allow me to get as close to you. Like you can maybe keep me on the maybe zone. Like if I'm like around this area, which we called the maybe zone earlier, like this is fine because if I'm back here, I will not be able to really go aggressive on you if you're going like too fast. Remember, for the most part, if I'm playing the inside trajectory in the Mirage 2000, for the most part, I'm usually going to be a lot slower than you because you know for a fact the Mirage 2000 cannot raid fight. So even if I am in the maybe zone, you can rest assured that I will not be able to have enough energy to like intercept you or go aggressive on you. Like if it's going to be a massive gamble, you can just pull out of the way. So for the most part, you're almost always going to be faster than me. So let's say, I don't know, you might be going like 800 kph or 700 kph, while my speed range is going to be like 550 all the way down to 350. So my speed is going to be way too low for me to take a deflection shot or go aggressive on you. So what you need to do, oh shit. So what you need to do is you basically just need to chase my tail better a little bit, like on this kind of raid fight. So this kind of turns that you make here, like these turns are for the most part like fine. Let me delete all of this. No, I cannot delete anymore. Let me get rid of this. All right, that should be enough. So if you are blue, remember you are blue. if you want to change your trajectory during a raid fight, you can do a little bit of shallow turns like this. This is fine because you can see here, if I see you turning a little bit and I pull lead, you can see how our trajectories are kind of like parallel into each other, and I barely even gained any shortcut here. So these kind of like shallow turns or changes in direction are fine. The main problem is that you're probably doing them way too abruptly. So because your turns are like more abrupt and probably even more prolonged, you actually allow me to take a shortcut on you and get closer. That's kind of what's happening. So over time, you just allow me to take so many shortcuts and shortcuts and shortcuts that I eventually look at it here. Let's say, for example, you are here. You can see your main radius is like a little bit somewhere around there, like a miniature picture of what I just did. So eventually, because you allow me to take so many shortcuts, I eventually get closer and closer and closer inside your turn, right? And the only way to get me out of here is to just pull in the opposite direction, kind of, or just chase my tail better, so to say. So I'm gonna make another drawing, just the last one. So this is the drawing we made in the beginning of your main radius. It's gonna look something like this. Now, if I'm flying information kind of like with you, here I'm in the maybe zone. And I'm gonna be doing what I can to get closer and closer to you, like this. I'm basically gonna be kind of like flying information to you. And for example, if I'm to your left, then I'm gonna eventually, if I start winning like the offset or like the min radius trajectory, you will eventually see that I'm gonna get closer and closer and closer to you. So how do you prevent this? Is you kind of just maybe pull a little bit into this direction, right? Because if you take a look here, this is like an imaginary sphere, of course. So for example, if you pull this direction like away from me and you go around the sphere, let's say this is the megasphere, you basically come around in this area. And look, you're kind of chasing my tail almost perfectly, right? So you basically just have to raid fight in a way where you don't allow me to get this close. So for example, if I'm flying information with you and I start getting like a little bit closer and closer, you just have to pull out of the way a little bit. Make sure to retain your speed. You have to pull out of the way a little bit, and you can see like if this was a sphere, you would come around the other way and you would be kind of landing on my tail. That's the goal. That's the goal of raid fighting. However, keep in mind, if you do this turn way too abruptly, like this, then you're giving me your 6. See?
Yeah.
So doing these changes in trajectory is pretty much mandatory. You have to do them, but you just have to do them like a little bit more carefully. So in this case, because you're pulling like out of the way from me, like sure, you're kind of quote unquote giving me your 6, but the problem is because my plane is so much slower than yours, I will not be able to kind of chase you properly. And you also have to keep in mind that in a raid fight, there's a lot more factors like gaining altitude and losing altitude. So let's say, for example, you make a slightly more aggressive turn here, but you just happen to be a lot faster than me and you just happen to be gaining altitude. If I'm a little bit slower, then I will not be able to afford following you, because if I'm slow and I try to pitch up, you know how my plane is gonna stall out and then gravity is gonna fuck me in the ass. So a lot of times doing these kind of turns, it's actually like not that harmful, because you have different factors like gravity or your speed or the opponent's speed just kind of like keeping you safe. So for the most part, these kind of turns where you pull like out of the way just prevent me from getting that close to you like this. So, you know, if I'm to your left and I kind of start like getting a little bit closer and closer, then all you have to do is just pull out of the way like this. And if you see, like, again, this was an imaginary sphere, then you would come all over the circle around this area and you would kind of land on my tail. So you're basically chasing my tail. You're pulling a lag. At the same time, if you end up misreading my energy state and I happen to be just fast enough, and maybe you do the turn like a little bit more abruptly, Then here, you just basically give me your 6, and I'm going to immediately cash in all my little bit of energy to just go aggressive on you. So you just have to be careful on how you do it. Right?
Gotcha.
So that's
Alright.
for the most part how it is. So you're like the main thing that's happening to you is you're basically making these turns so aggressively that you just allow me to take a massive shortcut into your trajectory. So what basically happens? Just give me just a moment so we can continue the duels. So this is your radius. So sometimes I can just be all the way back here, like you're gonna be completely safe. However, because your trajectory sometimes allows me to take shortcuts, then eventually I might end up getting closer and closer and closer and closer. So for the most part, like I'm basically just trying to fly information to you. You're gonna see me on this kind of area for the most part. Sometimes my trajectory might be aiming like a little bit outward. Sometimes I just want to move a little bit more outside. Sometimes I'm gonna pull a little bit more into you and I want to get like on the inside. So I'm gonna maybe end up like here or here. But for the most part, we're basically just flying information. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure you always try to like keep me away from you. It's gonna be kind of tricky because I think Mirage 2000 against F-16A is like it's overall really tricky. Like neither plane automatically wins against each other, in my opinion. So it's gonna be really tricky. But if you manage to kind of survive long enough and you can bring me to the deck, I will be kind of cooked because the only way I can play this kind of gameplay or trajectory is by having altitude and speed. If I run out of altitude and we end up transitioning towards the deck and we end up like raid fighting horizontally on the deck, then the Mirage 2000 is kind of cooked. So let's say as a final example, let me delete all this. I think it happened a couple times on our duels too where we transition towards the deck. Now let's say I'm here in the Mirage 2000 and we transition to the deck. I don't have any more altitude anymore and I'm also going like really slow. Let's say I'm going 300 kph. Now here's what you need to do. If you're in the F-16 and we both transition to the deck and we start raid fighting on the deck kind of, so you know you're chasing my tail here all around the circle and I'm kind of chasing your tail. You need to make sure you have a little bit more speed than me. So you have to make sure, I don't know, let's say for example, you transition, you hit the deck with 550. What you need to do is you need to regain your speed a little bit carefully. You need to regain around, I don't know, maybe 700. I think 700 is a good range of speed, like 700 kilometers per hour. And you just need to go aggressive on me immediately before I can gain altitude. So if we are on this kind of like raid fight where I'm in the circle, inside your circle for a very long time, and you can notice that we are about to go to the deck, you need to start regaining energy like immediately before we even hit. So let's say, for example, if you are still up here, let's say if you're still up here and all the way here, I'm all the way here, and we are about to go towards the deck, you need to notice this like soon enough, and you need to start regaining altitude immediately. You need to start, sorry, not altitude, but speed. You need to start regaining speed immediately. Because the very moment we hit the deck, if you allow me to regain my speed and you don't kill me quick enough, what's going to happen is I'm going to gain some verticality like this. It probably happened a couple times during our duels where we transitioned to the deck and I was able to regain enough speed and I managed to use my altitude and verticality to just get inside your circle again. So if you see that we are about to hit the deck during a raid fight, you need to start regaining energy before you hit the deck. You need to start regaining your energy preemptively.
Do I pull in as soon as you go up?
You should probably have enough speed to pull in before I go up, or while I'm going up. You need to kill me right there. Because if I manage to go up and get inside your turn again, I will force a reversal.
Okay.
Right, we can keep going. Actually, do you have the Mirage 2000?
Yeah.
Okay, you mind if we do some rounds later? So you can probably see from my perspective maybe what I would do if I was on the F-16.
Mhm.
Alright, I'm gonna keep the
Want me to
recording.
take it right now?
Yeah. No. I'm gonna keep playing the Mirage 2000. You can keep it on the F16. So since I have the recording going, I might as well just show you both perspectives of how I approach the fight.
Yeah.
So again, like, if we end up surviving for long enough and we transition towards the deck, you need to make sure you start regaining speed before we hit the deck. So whenever you start going around the circle, you can actually kill me before I gain my speed or altitude. So here, once again, my goal is to not raid fight you. I'm just gonna try to find a way to get inside your turn or like get next to you. Here you're doing a better job. Look, I'm basically just on the opposite side of the circle. I'm not even inside your turn at all. Here I'm gonna use some verticality. I'm gonna try to get close to you like this. You pull out away, you're chasing my tail. That's fucking perfect. Yeah, that's how you do it. You just have to make sure to not bleed that much speed because that's gonna make you sit and duck.
Yeah. That's my problem is speed management while doing this shit.
That's perfect. You're doing it perfectly. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that's you're doing it perfectly. Yeah. I think here I'm gonna try to maybe pull out of the way, see if I can get inside your turn here. Look. I might have gotten just inside your turn because you couldn't really pull enough. Here, maybe you get a guns. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good shit. Exactly that. That was perfect execution. Yeah. You just need to chase my tail a little bit better. You didn't allow me to get next to you. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So I was completely unable to get next to your wing. Like, I was not able to get inside your turn at all. Like, eventually I just ran out of speed. I also ran, like, out of altitude. Like, I was way too close to the deck. Completely out of options. That's how you play it. Perfect. Yeah, you got it. Right there, I think before you would have kept going up and you would have allowed me to just get close and close to you, and that's how I used to force the stall fights on you. Like when we did the F-18 duels against your 15A, like I would kind of just kept the spiral upwards going while getting closer and closer and closer, and when we were stalling out, I would just kill you at the very top of the loop.
Yeah.
That's fucking perfect. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you're chasing my tail perfectly. You're not allowing me to get close to you. That's how it is. Yeah, you got it. I think here, maybe on your way down, you can probably regain a little bit of speed and then just be able to pull me in. Maybe. So here, I'm gonna try to just slow down as much as I can to get inside your turn.
I think I overpulled with manual right there.
It's fine. You're still not cooked. Okay, maybe here.
Wait, nah, yeah, I got you. Oh shit, no, I don't.
See, I just managed to get inside your turn. Here I can maybe force a reversal. It's up to me to aim. Okay, you pulled out of the way. That's good.
Let's see.
I'm gonna...
Can you pull in it for me?
No, I'm just gonna avoid your nose. And here, because I have momentum up, I can abuse the verticality to try to maybe stall. Not quite. Now, on this kind of scissors we are in, whoever is on top is the one with the advantage. And if you're below, your goal is to just avoid the nose. Here, it took me a little bit too long to get over the top. I'm going to regain a little bit of speed on my way down. And I'm going to use this speed to pull you in.
Yeah, I'm stalled out. Yeah, I'm not too good at those stall fights.
They're actually really easy. I can explain them to you like really fucking quick. In a moment, we can do a few more rounds and I can make another drawing for you. It's really easy to understand. Although my plane is a little bit better, of course, but like the concept is really easy to understand.
Anyway, Sinful, any tips on how I should play in a MiG-29, especially in dogfights, before I go away?
I think MiG-29 can exploit rate fighting at like 900 kph really well. Like I think MiG-29 at 900 kph can pull decently hard and retain a lot of speed for some reason. So your best bet is kind of like just abuse that as much as you can. But for the most part, like the MiG-29 is absolute fucking garbage. That's kind of like the only trick it has. So the MiG-29 with manual control on merge, you can pull like a lot of Gs. So you're playing on EC, and most of the merges are going to happen at like 1000 kph, maybe 1100 kph. MiG-29 with manual control actually pulls really hard, more than many other planes. So the initial pull is really good, and if you try to rate fight at around 900 kph, it can also cook decently well, especially if you use vertical loops like what we're doing right now. You can see he is like using a lot of verticality while rate fighting. If you try to do that in the MiG-29, I think you might be able to win a few fights, especially like Hornets or some other planes that might not be good at vertical rate fighting. But also, like, don't really expect the MiG-29 to be doing a lot for you. It's a really bad plane.
What about dogfighting against F2s?
Oh, well, the F2 is just gonna absolutely fucking violate you.
Oh fuck, I lagged. Anyways, the problem is, in most of cases, if I even try to dogfight, like F-16, F2's just gonna pull in and launch AIM-9M on any kind of fire system missile and just shoot. In most cases, you know.
Yeah, well, as I said, like the difference between MiG-29 and the F-16, the F-15A, and even the F-2, it's absolutely astronomical. Like the F-2 would absolutely violate you, literally. So maybe, you know, maybe one day if you want a duel, we can do some MiG-29 rounds against F-15A. It's not gonna go well for the MiG-29, but I can at least like give you an idea of what to do.
Yeah, because I was dogfighting F-15A before, and like, for example, for me, I thought that F-15 is basically destroyed me in a single turn. Like, it pulled a lot harder than I could even expect.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess like if the guy merges slower than you, of course he's gonna have a much tighter turn and he can just catch you off guard. Sometimes maybe if you're flying the MiG-29, you probably end up merging faster than you want to, or you might also be like a little bit too heavy on fuel, for example. I don't know. I think there's a lot of factors overall, but you also you also need to understand that the MiG-29 doesn't stand a chance against 15A anyway. Like if the F-15A just wants to pull into you and kill you in a single turn, it actually can fucking do that, and you cannot really counter it.
Yeah, I know. But at least, you know, the good part about MiG, especially the SMT one, it's like, because of radar and weaponry it has, it can at least do something against
Oh yeah,
that.
missiles and avionics, sure.
But yeah, but the problem is, even if I got in the, like, even in the winnable dogfight, I just constantly pull, like I always do, and this is my problem. I just pull and lose position pretty quickly. And even if I had R-73s, they don't work, because, you know, they kinda dog shit.
Yeah, no, they never work. We can probably duel sometime and see exactly what I can cook and what pointers I can give you, but again, the
Especially want
MiG-29
to
is...
try my SMT skills, because, well, I've looted it most times. So
Yeah, sure.
it's gonna be heavy, it's gonna be hard, but sure, I kinda want to try it later. But for now, see you guys, and
Yes.
good luck training.
Yeah, see you around. That's perfect. You picked it up really fucking quick. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to do all sorts of stuff using changes in altitude to see if I can get inside your turn, and you're not allowing me to.
I think I'm too slow.
No, I think you're still fine. I'm also incredibly slow. Okay, right now we are in vertical loops. I don't
should try
know.
to pull in right here. Right?
Can probably do it on the next one. So on this kind of vertical loops, you have to regain a little bit of speed on your way down, and then use that speed to pull me in. Here, I'm dead. Here, I'm basically dead.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, let me.
It's like whenever you pull like really hard across the circle is like, because I feel like when I pull lag there, that it's like it's almost like a head on, or not a head on, but like I don't even know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, if you're rate fighting, you also have to keep in mind to not give me too much separation, because if you give me room, you allow me to regain my speed, or sometimes even just pull into you. So, that was pretty good. You actually picked it up really fucking quick.
Okay.
Now, I wanted to explain you the stall fights. So, let's say we're doing a stall fight in like this direction. It's gonna look something wiggly like this. So we're basically just going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's gonna look something like this. So we're basically like this kind of stall fights actually look like this. If you look at the replays, we're basically traversing through space. Now, what you need to understand about stall fights is whoever is at the very top in that moment has the advantage. Like, it doesn't matter what plane they are in. Some planes do it a little bit better, some planes do it a little bit worse. The F-16 is actually fucking cracked. But this kind of stall fights end up looking like this. And whoever is at the very top at that moment has the advantage, because this kind of vertical momentum you have here, where you gain altitude, this momentum allows you to pull a fuck ton of AOA to bring your nose down without any consequences. However, the very moment you start going down, you gain negative momentum. You start compressing because of gravity. So you will feel that your plane is going to struggle pointing the nose up and is barely going to pull AOA. So the reason why the guy on top has the advantage is, number one, because positive momentum allows you to pull AOA more aggressively without consequences. And this is something that I learned by flying flankers, specifically the SU-30 with thrust vectoring. Like, having positive momentum is absolute fucking key to using just pulling AOA overall. At the same time, the reason why the guy on top has the advantage is because here the guy at the bottom is gonna be compressing due to gravity. So, as a matter of fact, the turn of the guy that's going down is gonna look a little bit worse like this. So it doesn't matter how much the guy here pulls on the stick, they will never be able to kind of match the tire radius of the guy on top. So the guy who is going down is gonna be at a disadvantage because they're gonna be compressing due to gravity. They will not be able to pull as much AOA. And because they're compressing to gravity, it means they are gonna take a longer time actually making this turn. Here, they're gonna be compressing and they're gonna kind of be shooting right in front of you here, right? Yeah. This is actually what happens. At the same time, the guy on top can also do different stuff. Like, for example, on the F-16, you can turn off the afterburner a little bit and just stomp the shit out of the rudder, deploy the flaps, and you can have a really, really tight apex like this. So the F-16 actually does this really fucking well, and you don't even need manual control. You can just do it in vamping. You can just deploy the flaps and just cut throttle for a moment, and you will see that if you deploy the flaps, you cut throttle, the plane is gonna stall itself because it's so fucking slow, and then it's gonna go through the apex really quick, and it's gonna have a really, really tight apex. And this Basically just allows you to get nose on the guy below. Now, the thing about stall fights is you also need to actually have good aim and make your approach count. Because if you're the guy on top and you manage to get nose on, but maybe your plane is not very stable because of AOA, or you probably didn't really aim properly, or you had to pull neck G and you didn't get a chance, and you miss, the very moment you pass each other, the advantage is transferred to the next guy. So that's why it's so important to have proper control of the AOA and have good aim. Because if you miss your shots and you switch places to the other dude, then we are basically back to square one. Like, this kind of situation just repeats itself over and over and over again. So it doesn't really matter that much what plane you are in. You can be in a fucking disgustingly overpowered, like, stall fighter, like, I don't know, maybe Rafal. But if you miss your approach here, then you basically switch places to the other dude. And now the guy who is on top is going to be the one with the advantage, right? So it doesn't matter how good one plane might be at stall fighting. If they miss their approach and they're going down, then they're going to be compressing because of gravity. They won't be able to get the nose up as quickly. And that means that they're always going to be shooting almost in front of you. And here the blue guy can probably kill them. So how exactly do you avoid this? Now let's imagine this little square I'm going to draw here is a point of view. So this little stall fight we have here, let's imagine this is like your actual point of view and you're the guy in red here below. Then it's the guy on blue is going to look something like maybe this. So they're going up, and here they kind of stall, and they're bringing their nose down here to the right. So they're kind of doing this. So the way you avoid this is you just basically try to pull all the way out of their nose. Just avoid their fucking nose as much as you can. Just pull out of the way. Pull out of the way. So if this is your point of view from the F-16, and I don't know, let me see. Can I draw a cockpit here? I don't know. I'm just going to draw a square. Let's imagine this is your point of view of your plane. Here you have your HUD. And I don't know, this is the cockpit. So this is your point of view of this guy. So if you're the guy below, you're the guy on red, the guy in front of you is going to look something like this. Maybe he's going up here, and he is stalling here to the right. So he's going through the apex here on this section. He's going like this. He's just bringing his nose to the right. The way you avoid this is you just pull all the way. Like, just avoid your nose. Just pull the fuck out of the way and hope they really miss. Sometimes, of course, you are able to get inside their turn. Look, because the main radius still exists here. The main radius is like the area where they can get nose on you. Sometimes you're able to just pull out of the way and get inside this area, and here you will be safe. Sure, you will be safe. And now, the very moment you pass each other, then the advantage gets transferred to you. And now your goal is to stall almost perfectly to where he is going to fly and just land on top of him and kill him. Now, something that might help, hear me out, something that might actually be very helpful is maybe you pass each other like a little bit too close. And if you want to have a little bit more room to actually get nose on the guy and kill him, then you can actually extend away a little bit more up on purpose. So you can go up for a little bit more and gain more momentum, more separation. And then you can stall a little bit later if you feel confident. The main disadvantage on this sometimes is it might give the other guy more time to at least force a head-on with you. So it really depends. So I think one of the easiest indicators to see if you can do this or not is if you start going up. Let me see if I can delete all this. Give me a second. I'm gonna delete this. So let's imagine you actually start going up. You're already going up, and he is barely making it through the apex, that means that he is going to be going down for a very long time, right? So if you're already going up and he's barely going through the apex, and you probably don't really have a good gut solution to kill him here, then you can kind of fly past them on purpose. You can fly past them here on purpose, and you're going to be flying very close to each other. So because you're so close to each other, you're going to have to get some more separation in order to actually get a shot. So again, what you can do in some situations, if the situation allows it, you can keep going up a little bit more for a little bit longer. Here, you gain more separation from him. You can also get a little bit slower. And because you have so much separation, this actually allows you to aim and stabilize your AoA and actually kill the guy. Because say, for example, if you are already going up and the guy has barely made it through the apex, that means that the guy below is going to stay down there for longer. So you can actually have enough time to do this, and maybe he's barely even going up here. You can actually kill him. But for the most part, stall fights kind of behave this way. So the guy who is on top is the one with the advantage. Sometimes, depending on the situation, if you see the other guy is incredibly slow or he's going through the apex very sloppily, like you can extend away upwards a little bit more to gain some separation. And this separation actually allows you to properly aim into the dude and kill him. And stabilize your AoA, make sure to just aim properly and kill him. And then the vertical loops, vertical raid fights, they basically look like this. Now, if you take a look at replays, those vertical loops that we do often, they actually just also look like this. We're just basically traversing through space like this. Now, for simplicity, I'm just gonna use a circle. So vertical loops are gonna look like this. Now the vertical loop is going to be working in like this direction, just for reference. Now vertical loops have three parts. They have the apex, which is the very top. You have what I call the gain window here. So this is the area where you actually want to regain a little bit of your speed. You don't really want to monkey pull forever on the vertical loops. No, there are some areas where you actually want to regain speed, like this. And then there's another area that I call the vulnerability window, which is all of this section here. Now, this is not necessarily strict. Sometimes you can afford to regain speed earlier. For example, if you relax your stick, if you relax your pull and you start gaining speed very early, this will allow you to offset the loops into this direction, right? It depends if you really want to manipulate the offset. So if you start very early, you can manipulate the vertical loops or the offset in this direction very easily. Sometimes maybe the offset is not in your favor and you cannot really afford to do that. So maybe you want to regain your speed on this section, because it allows you to relax your pull and regain your speed on your way down, and maybe it allows you to offset like downwards. I don't know. Depends on which location of the circle the opponent is. But what I'm trying to say is you don't have to regain speed this entire section. Sometimes you want to do it here. Sometimes you want to do it a little bit here. It depends on the offset and depends on the situation. But what you do need to remember is, for sure, you want to regain a little bit of speed here. And the reason for that is because you need to get through the vulnerability window as quickly as you can. And the reason why this is called the vulnerability window is because, as you can expect, you're going to be very vulnerable going up, because this is going to be your plane fighting against gravity. And not only that, but you also have to make sure you're pulling on the stick just enough to where you don't give the guy separation. So let's say, for example, if you let's say you have speed and you're going up. However, you're going up, you are a little bit too scared to lose speed, so you decide to not pull as much. So you create separation from the opponent, like this. Maybe you got too scared from losing your speed and you just gave your opponent a bit too much separation. Well, if your opponent is gaining speed here, so he is on the opposite side of the circle, he regains his speeds here, he sees you're giving him separation. What is he going to do? He's going to pull into you.
Just pull in.
Yeah. The reason why you want to regain speed is so you can afford to go through the vertical loop while also just keeping the circle tight enough. So whether you like it or not, this area is going to be expensive when it comes to energy. So you want to have a decent amount of energy so you can get through here as quickly as you can, safely. Because if you don't regain your energy, let's say you use monkey pull the entire way, sure, you're going to have a slightly tighter circle, but then on your way up, you're going to be so fucking slow. You're not going to have any lift, and you're going to be a sitting duck. You're going to be incredibly slow here. This means that the other dude, if I see you do this, let's for example, you use monkey pull your way in, you're stalling on this vulnerability window. What am I going to do? I'm going to regain speed for slightly longer, like this. And here, I just fucking pull you in. Because you are so incredibly slow, you're not going anywhere, and it's also going to be incredibly easy for me to aim the guns. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the importance of making sure you have enough speed to get through the vulnerability window. The other reason, of course, is if the other opponent is around this area and he is very slow, if you see him going very slow, and maybe you did the vertical loops very well, and you're going already very fast, you're going significantly faster than him, then you regain your speed here, you're going really fast, then if you see your opponent is taking way too long to get through the vulnerability window and he's basically stalling out, then this allows you to also pull him in, right? Because you have the speed. And if you're flying on something like the F-16, of course, you know for a fact you can pull manual control, pull a fuck ton of G's and just fucking pull into him and kill him, right? So, for the most part, this speed that you regain here can allow you to kill someone who is very vulnerable going through here. Right? This is why it's called the vulnerability window, because a lot of people usually are the most vulnerable here. Sometimes maybe one dude gets like starts like getting way too slow. Maybe you notice this in time, but say for example one dude is going way too slow here. Something you could do is you could regain a fuck ton of speed on purpose. You can regain even more speed for a longer amount of time. And once you get to the very bottom, you're going to be going so fucking fast that you can just monkey pull, and just intercept the guy maybe here. Because he was so fucking slow all over here, he's barely made it through the apex, and he's basically stalling out. You'll be able to kill him. Right? So that's why it's so important to regain your speed on your way down. And that's why it's also so important to make sure you have enough energy to get through the vulnerability window as quickly as you can. Now, the third part is going to be the apex, but this is mostly going to be important if this kind of raid fight gets way too slow. So like monkey pull speeds, stalling speeds. Now, when your plane is way too slow, say for example you start getting way too slow here, let's say for example, I don't know, something incredibly slow like 250 kph, you lose a lot of lift, and it's basically your engine doing all the heavy lifting. So what ends up happening is your plane becomes really stiff, and it's going to take ages for it to get through the apex, right? So if in one of these kind of raid fights you end up inevitably getting way too slow, maybe both of you are slow, you have to make sure you get through the apex as quickly as you can. On a lot of planes, there are different ways of doing this. You can pull flaps all the way down. It's one way. Maybe cut afterburner over the top. And the most important of all, using manual control.
The F-16? Or on every plane?
On almost every plane. If you want to make sure you get through the apex as quickly as possible, you can use all three. So, on this kind of stall fights, or raid fights, vertical raid fights, when they get so slow, they're gonna actually look like more like an oval, maybe, because the planes end up looking so much lift, they basically lock up. So if you end up engaging in one of these like vertical loops, it's gonna look something like this. It's more like an oval instead of a circle. And this is the apex. Now, if you do this kind of stuff properly, then you might be able to get through the apex even earlier, and your nose is gonna come down earlier, like this. So this allows you to, maybe if your opponent is still down there, bringing the nose through the apex so fucking quickly may allow you to just pull him to him and kill him. Or maybe just create an offset, I don't know. But for the most part, there are so many planes that get completely stiff on this area that they just stay up there for way too long. And you just want to make sure you just get through the apex as quickly as you can. So, of course, this only applies to like this kind of race fights when they inevitably get like super duper slow and you have no other choice. So it's always going to be really important you get through the apex as quickly as you can, and you just start maybe regaining speed earlier than the other dude, or maybe just get an opportunity to kill him. And I think this stuff here is something that I ended up doing on some of our duels earlier. When on Mirage 2000, on some of the stall fights, I would cut burner and use manual control on purpose, just so I could bring my nose over the apex as quickly as possible, and you just have a very, very sharp dive here. Okay. So that's one way you can kind of bring the nose around really aggressively. I think also, if you want to visualize that, on one of my videos where I duel against City, let me see if I can find like the correct timestamp. This video where I duel against City. So just so you can actually see my perspective. It's like around here, I think. Here, yeah, look. Let me increase the resolution. So here we're kind of in like a scissor stall fights. Here I'm inside his radius, you know. Here, remember, the guy on top is the one with the advantage. If I am at the bottom, and you can see I don't really have any speed to like pull him in, I'm gonna pull away from his nose. Like here, the obvious choice is gonna be for him to dip the nose to the right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull lag. I'm gonna stay the fuck away from his nose. And look what I'm gonna do here. Here, I'm gonna extend away upwards a little bit. I'm gonna cut throttle. You can see I dropped throttle all the way. I also have my flaps all the way down. I stomp the shit out of the rudder, and look how quickly my nose comes around the apex. Look, my nose is already down. So here you can see the sky. I'm no damping. This is falling damping. I barely use manual on the F-16 at slow speeds. So here you can see like I'm pointing my nose all the way up. I cut throttle, use rudder, and I just bring the nose around so fucking quickly. And you can see this allows me so much time to aim and stabilize my plane and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you can see how fucking quickly, like, it's probably difficult to visualize because the F-16 cockpit is so clear, but you can see how quickly I bring my nose over the top. And I stabilize my plane already and I can aim. So for example, if I decided to just keep going up and I kept my throttle 100% and I didn't use flaps, then it would have taken me ages to get through the apex. However, because I brought the nose over the top so fucking quickly, I was actually able to just cut across the trajectory and kind of intercept them here, right? So that's one of the situations where like just bringing the nose over the top so quickly is actually so damn handy.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Actually, if you want, actually,
you do the switch planes.
No, I think we can keep doing this. Like, I wanted to show you the perspective of the F-16 in case you didn't get it, but I think you got it really fucking quick. Like, you basically just fixed all the mistakes you were doing, like, in a matter of 20 minutes. So now you're just basically chasing my tail a little bit better. Now you're just basically giving me a much harder time. Here I'm gonna go up. I wanna see if I can get a little bit closer to you. Here seems like you wanted to pull a little bit hard. You failed. And here you're chasing my tail. You're not allowing me to get next to you. That's how you should do it. Here, maybe you get a nose on... No.
Too slow.
Okay, here, now I'm kind of next to you a little bit. Now your goal is to pull to your left. Just don't allow me to get any closer. You pull to exactly like that. You pull to your left. So now you're chasing my tail. You did not allow me to get next to your wing.
So now
That's
I
how you
go
should
right.
do it. Now here, I'm not necessarily next to you because you can see, like, I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm going towards your tail. So I'm not necessarily flying information with you. Now here, I'm trying to use verticality to get next to you. You don't take it, you extend away. That's good. And now we're on vertical loops. Remember what I told you about vertical loops. Regain a little bit of your speed on your way down. And now I'm basically just completely stalling out. Here you might be able to deploy the flaps, just pull into me and fucking kill me right there. Excellent. See, in this kind of situation, it's basically just a game of patience. Like, what you're doing is you're not allowing me to get close to you at all. So I'm basically forced to constantly cash in my speed to try to just avoid your nose for as long as possible. However, the way you're flying, you're basically just forcing a kind of rate fight where sustained turn rate and SCP matters the most. So you're basically just flying your plane to its full strength. You're basically just actually outrating me. So whatever kind of attempt I might have at cutting the radius and getting close to you, you're just denying it. Here, for example, I'm trying to get very close to you. Your choice is to dump away to your left. Like that. Yeah.
More?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. You can see I'm basically just completely stalled out.
Now.
Yeah.
I think I was taking that.
Yeah, you were taking. Yeah, you were taking them. You were taking them. That's kind of a way for me to bait you into taking the stall fight. Just taking those spiral upwards. So yeah, the way you avoid that is you just pull out of the way. Yeah, pull the fuck out of the way. Now we are rate fighting, and you're gonna be eventually winning very easily. So basically, what you're doing is you're forcing me to fight in a rate fight that I cannot even win. You're basically just playing the game to your playing strength. Because you can see here, we're basically chasing each other's tail perfectly because you're not allowing me to do anything else. So this means that my sustained turn is gonna get me absolutely fucking cooked. Look here. I'm so fucking vulnerable going through the apex. I'm so fucking slow. Here, you just pull onto me and kill me. There we go.
Yeah, I guess all this time I've just been like taking the stall fights.
Yeah, I think now you can actually visualize what the radius is and when somebody is trying to get into the radius from you.
And I can visualize like when you were talking about extending the other way.
Yeah, you understood that shit so fucking quickly. There we go. Now you're winning.
I mean, yeah, you're a good teacher.
And also, that game of playing inside the other dude's radius, it's something that a lot of planes can actually do. Of course, the Mirage 2000 is a little bit better at it, but it's also the fact that it's literally the only choice that this plane has. Now here, look, I'm gonna try to get close to you. Perfect, yeah. You just pull the fuck out of the way, don't take it. Just like that. What happens if I try to do it this way? You just pull out of the way, Yeah, you just pull out of the fucking way. Perfect. That's so fucking perfect. And you just keep raid fighting. Yeah. That's how you fucking do it. And now here, I am so incredibly fucking slow. I'm incredibly fucking vulnerable. I might not even have the speed to get out of the way from here. So you can see how I'm trying to make all of these changes in altitude and direction to try and get close to your 6, and you're just not allowing me to. Here, this is a stall fight. Right now, you're on top, you might have the advantage. Here, you can probably just pull the flaps all the way down and maybe kill me. It's fine, you're playing it safe. Here, what happens if I try this? You can pull a little bit out of the way too. Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what pulling lag means. Basically that. And here I'm so incredibly fucking slow that I'm basically just dead. Oh, you didn't take the shot. Oh, there you do. Yeah, I'm dead here. Unless you miss. Oh, there you go.
Would you say the rate fighter has like an easier job?
Not really. Mirage 2000 probably gets cooked anyway because this thing just cannot rate fight. But what you need to keep in mind is there are many planes that can actually do both of what we're doing here.
Super Hornet?
Yeah. Super Hornet is a plane that, of course, cannot really rate fight that much, but it has better specific access power. And it also has the AoE button that helps a fuck ton. So, specific access power is basically the energy retention while pulling on the stick. It's better than the Mirage. And also because it pulls harder overall across the board, it means you can tighten the radius more efficiently when you actually need it. So actually, if you want, I can bring the Hornet to step up the difficulty and see how we cook.
Okay. I'm down. Okay, pull left.
What about this? Are you gonna pull out of the way? Yeah, you are. So if you kept flying in a straight line all the way down, I will be able to take a deflection shot on you.
Yeah.
And now here I'm incredibly slow. Now the reason why I'm getting so fucking slow is not because I'm throwing, it's because I want to make sure I maintain proper separation with you. Because if I give you separation, then of course you just pull me in immediately and kill me. So like the way I'm flying, I'm bleeding speed, like basically because I have no other choice. Here, however, let's see, do you pull out of the way? Yeah, you do. I'm basically just sitting duck here on the sky, so just make sure to regain enough speed to just pull me in here and kill me quickly. There we go.
Holy aim.
Okay, let me switch to the Hornet and step up the difficulty. Now you're still in the block then, so it's still not gonna be really easy for me. But anyway, this thing is gonna be a little bit more difficult. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult than the Mirage. Now here, you might still win, but it's probably gonna take you a lot longer to actually cook. Here, you kind of allowed me to get a little bit closer to like your side. You didn't really pull out of the way. It's fine though. I still have a long way to go. Perfect, yeah, you're not allowing me to get inside your turn or even like next to your wing. That's perfect lag right there. I think here you extended away a little bit too much.
Yeah.
You just gave me a little bit of room. And I think if you kept that going for like half a second, I could have probably forced a head on. Here I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna try to get next to you. You don't take it, that's good. And here I don't really have enough energy to like keep getting closer to you, so I have to disengage and regain speed. Like you can see how this becomes a game of I'm trying to get close to you and you're also negating me when I'm trying to get close to you. Like it's basically just me trying to counter you and you're also countering me. Here, maybe you gave me a little bit too much separation. Not quite. I don't really have enough ball here. But however, I have altitude and some momentum here. I'm able to just... Nope. Oh, my plane is flopping all over the place. I might be cooked. Yeah, I'm insanely cooked. Great. This is a head-on.
Try to avoid it.
Here, I'm avoiding your nose. I avoid your nose. I go up. And because I'm the guy up, I have the advantage here. So I'm gonna stall, try to intercept your path. You're pulling out of the way. That's fucking great. Yeah. That's great. However, I think I have a little bit of separation here. I might be able to regain some speed and kill you. Yeah. I'm gonna use manual control to just force my plane into pulling a fuck ton of AOA so I can get through the apex. And look, because I got through the apex so quickly, I can take a shot. Now look, here we're about to transition into a raid fight on the deck, so I am preemptively regaining some speed before I actually hit the deck. This is what you should always do, because if you hit the deck already and you didn't regain speed, it's gonna take you a very long time to regain it. Look, for example, here, I have enough speed to just pull you in. Because I decided to preemptively regain some speed before hitting the deck. Holy fucking dog shit aim, god damn it.
Oh wait, you pull in again.
Yeah, the Hornet definitely does.
Fucking dream. Sound is tripping out. Whenever I get slow there, I don't know if I should try to extend it to a rate fight or just keep going in the stall fight.
Yeah, I think if it ever gets into a stall fight like that, if you have the opportunity to just extend the fuck away and maybe abuse the fact that we are guns only, I might not be able to hit you. But also, I think in a stall fight like that, like, you cannot really do anything else. You're kind of trapped, and you're also kind of trapped against a plane that does it better than yours. Here, I'm gonna regain my speed on my way down. And now we're just doing vertical loops. So remember, regain a little bit of speed on your way down, so you can afford to go up as quickly as possible. And oh! I just hit the fucking ground. Yeah, that's fucking great. That little turn I did to the right, I was trying to hopefully bait you into following a spiral sideways to where I could use the advantages of staying inside your turn. You didn't take it, you just sent it the fuck away.
Was that too much separation?
For a moment I think it was, but I just didn't have enough speed to kind of pull you in. I think you had just enough speed to just kind of like get out of the way. It's fine though. Here we're just running out of fuel. I'm 1.5 minutes.
I had 20 seconds. I gotta pull you in right here. Ah, nope. Already out.
I'm just kind of run out of fuel, so it doesn't count, but still. I mean, yeah, well, you fucking learn that shit, like, immediately. You probably learn, like, in, like, 1 hour what fucking Eric hasn't been able to achieve in, like, a year.
Damn. Have you gave him this matchup?
Yeah, he wasn't F16 and he didn't really do very well.
I think his problem is he extends away too much, right?
Yeah, he retains way too much speed and he doesn't use it. You, on the other hand, you're doing it like literally perfectly. Like the very moment you learn how to like not allow me to play the radius game, you're just pulling the lag perfectly. Like now I'm actually fucking struggling. Also, it's not necessarily that the Hornet is gonna stomp the F16, but you know,
Yeah.
one tiny little mistake and you allow me to play the radius game and it's kind of over for you. So like here you're literally doing it perfectly, almost perfectly. I think a little bit more practice so you can actually like, I think the trajectories is not your problem, like not at all. It might be just getting a little bit more used to read those cues like a little bit earlier and you'll be set up for being purple. There we go.
Yeah, just more practice. Like, that's my biggest thing with stall fights, is just reading trajectories, you know, knowing where they're gonna end up perfectly.
I mean, well, you already learn how to negate stall fights for the most part. Like, a stall fight is basically a form of playing the radius game. Like, every plane can do it. For the most part, a lot of planes can do it. Some, of course, a little bit better than others. Because, for example, if you're stall fighting in an F-16 against another F-16, with all the knowledge you already have, you know when to evade the nose, you know when to try to pull AOA and go for a shot, whatever. You're already gonna win a fuck ton of engagements. However, if you're in the F-16 and you force a stall fight against the Hornet, it might backfire really bad. So, like, this kind of like trajectories or like gameplays where we practice today, like rate fighting and radius fighting, is something that almost every single plane can do. Some of them just do it a little bit better than others.
Yeah.
So in the case of the Mirage 2000, playing the radius game is literally the only choice it has. And the very moment you fucking learn that shit, like you were basically just winning every single one of them. You literally didn't make any mistake. Now with the Hornet, however, you're still doing it really fucking well. Like I'm kind of just struggling to keep up. So I'm basically have to fly in a way where I try to stay as close as I can to the maybe zone, because that's literally the best I can get. I cannot even get into the safe zone in you. Like all this time, I'm basically just stuck in the maybe zone. The main difference is I don't really have enough speed to actually just pull out of the way into the safe zone that you decide to pull in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how this is going. Like it's not going really well for me. Here I'm in the maybe zone, but I'm also so incredibly fucking slow that you can probably just force a head-on pass here. You pull manual control, and maybe you aim, you deploy flaps, you can probably kill me already.
How fast are you going?
500. Here I'm gonna try to play the radius game. I'm gonna hope you miss the shot. Oh, wing off. Nice.
Oh, fuck, no. I'm also in a block 10. I mean, should I go back to the 15?
No, I don't care. No.
Okay.
I'll do a couple more to not keep the recording like super fucking long. Because I would actually want you to watch at least some of it. Like you already,
Oh yeah.
you already saw the explanations. You got that really fucking quick. So now at least I want you to see the gameplay. I want you to at least get the gameplay we had at the beginning.
Yeah, like watching your perspective will help me a lot.
I think actually I started the recording after I explained all of that shit to you. So I think it's gonna be better if you watch the other video. That's gonna give you the perspective of my duels against the Enforcer. So you can actually see how I just played the radius against them versus how you're playing the radius against me, or at least how you are preventing it. You can get the perspective of how it looked into, like, from my point of view. Here I have the altitude and momentum to just rotate over my own axis with a fucking rudder. So I think here, if I had a little bit more speed, I would have been able to take a shot.
Yeah.
So that was kind of me abusing the shit out of verticality and just stomping the rudder. Because if I'm going all the way over the top with that much momentum, that means I can just use rudder to point my nose wherever the fuck I want. So that's kind of what I did there. I basically just kind of like flip over the place. Almost got the nose on. Here maybe I do. Almost. That was so fucking close. Now here I think you're going a little bit too slow. You're going through the vulnerability window, so if I had a little bit more speed, I could have been able to just pull into you and kill you before you regain your speed all the way down. So you're doing really fucking great right here. And here we transition into a raid fight on deck. Remember, you have to probably regain speed a little bit preemptively, but yeah, here you just had all the position to go for a shot. Nice.
Position, but no aim.
The airfield. We need to act and fast.
I think there, when I got nose on you, you could have probably jinked a little bit. Doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Capture the airfield. We've got to regain control of it immediately.
I think there you could have also jinked. Like, if you see like your opponent kind of just go for a shot you didn't really expect, you can always just jink. Try to get out of their way. Oh, here I kind of shot in front of you. Oh.
Oh, damn.
When I tried to get inside your turn, away from your guns. No, I couldn't. Nice. I'll do my last one.
But yeah, I think my biggest problem was just when I would extend away while trying to pull lag. Seeing it visualized helped a lot.
And you just have to be careful with separation. Like, if you give your opponent a little bit too much separation, you allow them to fix whatever mistake they might have done. You allow them to regain their speed, or sometimes maybe the opponent already has a decent amount of speed, and that separation you gave them allows them the room to just pull into you and kill you, or force a head on. So, like, all you have to do is just be careful of just giving your opponent too much separation. But the way you're flying right now, like, I don't see any issue whatsoever. You're doing just fine. That's perfect. Yeah, well, what can I say? That's really fucking good. Really, really fucking good. Yeah. I think. Well, now you know how to deal against one circle fighters. So to say, you know how to counter people who want to get into your radius. You know how to pull lead, how to pull lag. That you understood that absolutely perfect. So I think next step is gonna be
Learning the other side. Right.
Maybe not learn
Learning
the
all
other
the
side. No,
circle
you already get the idea, but actually, yeah, you can probably learn the other side. But I think, like, now that you saw the drawings and you saw like what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like fly information to the other dude and get close to their wing. That's kind of how you play Radius. So
Yeah.
you can definitely practice playing the other side. So if you have a Hornet, you can practice that against Block 15s. I think Block 15s is more balanced. Sometimes probably even the F-15A. I think the F-15A against Hornet is also balanced. You can play Hornet against either of those. And I want to see how you do there. And finally, you can do like symmetrical duels between planes that can do both. So 15A.
Mm-hmm.
So 15A is a plane that basically just does it all. It does raid fighting really fucking well. Does one circle and stall fights really fucking well because the flaps on that thing are incredibly fucking busted. And it's also the fact that the F-15A also requires you to be aggressive constantly. So you cannot do the exact same thing for too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that was a fucking insanely massive jump in performance after the explanation. That you fucking played that shit really well. You learned really well. So I
You
think
teach good, bro.
next step is just gonna be you and Hornet practicing the exact same thing we did. So basically doing role reversal.
Yeah.
And just see if you can apply both at the exact same time in planes like 15A, and I'll give you purple. So there you go. I'm gonna cut the stream here to not give it any long, but actually I do recommend you watch the video prior to this one, and then you can watch this one so you can actually see from my perspective how you played it. All right. Well, GG's. I'll see you around.
GG. All right. Peace.